Hello and welcome to the Just Below Average Track Guides, where I will look to impart some of the knowledge I have built up through literally hours of sim racing at what I consider to be the sweet spot of performance, where mediocrity is right there, so close that you can smell it. No need to go above that, that's just try-hardy, and that's where you want to be, that magical middle ground. I'm pretty sure I've nailed it. So during this series of videos, I am going to be trying out some of the best and most loved circuits from around the globe. We will try various different car formulas from open wheels, hybrids, GTs and road cars, and we will try to use various different platforms, iRacing, ACC. These tutorials will not suffocate you with technical jargon, scientific explanations, even correct grammar most of the time. But what I can guarantee is that the Just Below Average system is built on a very robust platform of mathematics, whereby the more people we can get to just below average, the lower that average becomes, and therefore we're already a little bit closer to average. Right, we're going to kick things off at SUZUKA in what has quickly become probably my favourite car in sim racing, the Dallara F3 in iRacing. I will jump straight onto the lap now, let you watch the full lap, which, as luck would have it, turned out to be a PB for me, despite it not being perfect. But again, perfection is not what we're here for. And then I will break down the lap in a little bit more detail so that you can slowly and carefully absorb all the knowledge that I try to project. So, enjoy. Okay, so to demonstrate the lap, I will use this kind of hybrid chase cam. We're just ending the previous lap now. I'm going to try and let this run without pausing too much so that it doesn't interrupt the flow. But obviously the exit to the previous lap is crucial to a good start. So anyway, we're on the start-finish line now. I let it drift over to the left. I probably go a little bit further than I would like, as you will see there. That is absolutely as close as you want to get. And probably not there, which is maybe, particularly as you're about to start turning in, not really where you want to be. Give yourself a few inches of leeway. From this point, you can see the 50-metre mark, and we're going to start turning very gently, blipping it down through the gears. We're flat out at the moment, but we're going to start turning very gently over towards the right-hand side, for turns 1 and 2, which is basically one smooth steering motion, and all you're doing is controlling it with throttle, brake and blipping and engine braking, basically coming down through the gears until eventually you'll be in 3rd gear, I believe, possibly 4th, when you come out of turn 2. So let's run this through. Probably, actually, I said I wasn't going to keep doing this, but you could clip a little bit more curb there. I've given myself too much space. So anyway, turn 1, turn 2, run wide onto the curb, keep that steering angle, clip the curb on the inside, run wide again, and then you come back over to the right hand side of the track before you're now attacking the meat of the S's. These are done in, so you've got left, right, left, right, left. So you're going left in 4th, right in 4th, left in 4th, right in 3rd, which is the only really tricky one, and that just tightens it up so that you can then go flat out on the final left on the way out of the S's. You want to be using as much of the track as possible, but don't overly obsessed with getting right to the edges of the track, basically in favour over getting a nice tight apex. As you'll see, I haven't come right to the edge here, but I've got a nice turn in for that part, nice turn in for that part, clipping the apex. Now this is the point I was making. You might think the best thing as you came out of there would be then to let the car swing right over to the right hand side because you've got this next left hander coming up. My personal preference actually is to stay reasonably central and get turned in quite early and smooth for this next one. Didn't get in quite as tight as I would like, which is going to send me a little bit further over to the right than I want. But generally speaking, I would rather get in early on this bend than worrying about having come out so I could sweep right back across. Anyway, this is the point now, down to 3rd here. Tying it in for a late apex. You can see, again, I've not come right over, but I think really I want to be clipping the curb at about this point. I would say I want to be basically touching that white line on the inside of the red and white curb. But then keep off the power, be patient here, keep off the power until really late out of that curb. The car's nice and straight, then you can keep it over to the right, get full on the beans, and you can actually go flat out through here. Now I didn't quite get the apex once again. If I'd been a foot further over to the right here, sorry, to the left, I'd have had a much better exit, and as you'll see, I'm going to run wide and lose a little bit of momentum. Bounced up the curb there, didn't cause me any damage other than maybe half a tenth. Keep over to the left, and then you're looking for this 50 metre mark where you're still in 5th gear, no need to change down gear, just back off the power and start sweeping over to what I think was the best part of my lap and very much a key part to the lap, which is the 2 Degners. This first curve that you're about to hit on the right hand side, it's a fine line. Too cautious with it and you can lose a lot of time. Too aggressive with it and it's game over. So I was chuffed to bits with that. That is just about perfect. It doesn't upset the car, gives you a lovely angle turning in, and it allows the car to run all the way out to there, which again, any more than that and you could be in trouble. It's very easy to bottom this car out on those 2 curbs. If you start riding the plank on this curb here, you will go straight on or straight off to the left, or you're not going to be able to brake and you'll head towards that very inviting looking wall at the end of the straight. Now on this next bit, you want to now try and keep the car straight for as long as you can on this curb before dropping off it. I dropped off slightly early. I think I want to get to probably about there before I start dropping off this curb. So I've dropped off slightly early, and what that's done, as you'll see, it actually compromises my speed on the way out of the second Degner a little bit, where I don't end up using as much of the track as I could have done. So I've got a nice line in there, but it's because I've sort of backed off, so I've slowed down a little bit. That is about as much curb as you want, but on the way out, I could be going much wider than that. You could be going right to the edge of that red and white curb without any problems. Any further, and yeah, again, you might have some bottoming out problems, but no real danger there as long as you're not taking real liberties. So keep to the left. You're going to start sweeping round to the right. Again, don't obsess over clipping the apex there. There's your braking point. I've just come past... It's hard to say. I think you're talking about a car's length beyond the red and white curb, but there's a shadow there, but they're not very good as reference points for braking because they tend to move. But that's about your braking point. So you're pretty hard on the brakes. You're coming from quite high speed down to second gear. Keep it over to the right, but then start that second shadow there for the lamppost is where I start just letting the car drift inwards very slightly, very gentle steering angle. then harder on the brakes, and you can see a much more increased steering angle. This is where all your steering and your braking is done. You've got the car slowed right down, it's turning tight. I didn't actually get tight enough, which again, you're going to see the compromise of that on the way out. If I'd managed to get in another foot inside, I could get on the power earlier and use all of the track on the way out, which I didn't. But, you know, I'm not here to be perfect. I'm here to be just below average. So, anyway, that's still a pretty good line. I'm up on my delta at this point. And then, as a result of missing that apex, I shouldn't be turning that steeply at this point. I should already be unlocking the steering slightly, letting the car power out and drift further over to the right. And as you can see, that's about as close as I get to that curb on the right-hand side, when in actual fact, I could be virtually touching it and carrying a lot more speed. No real harm done, still up. So this next bit is just about shortening the track. Sweep from the outside to the inside without scrubbing any speed. Steal as many meters as you can, and then you're looking for another service road right there, and you'll be in 5th or 6th gear. This is a standard setup. I don't know if I mentioned that, but this is basically stock SUZUKA setup for the car. So the gearing, wing settings are all straight out of the iRacing's stock folder. So theoretically, we should be looking at the same speeds and gears if you were trying to do a like-for-like comparison. So you'd be in 6th gear at this point. And then you get down to 4th gear by the time you hit the apex for the first part of Spoon. It's not hard braking, you're kind of letting the car just sort of sweep and roll its way in there. So it's nothing aggressive, keep it nice and smooth. You can see, just clip the curb on the inside. Again, don't obsess with getting that too tight, you don't want to upset the car, so staying off that curb is no bad thing, but that's pretty perfect. Let the car run out wide, onto the curb on the way out, and then you want to stay on this curb probably a little bit longer than I did. No, maybe not. No, that's pretty good. So use all of the track, stay on this curb before you then, let's see if we can hear it. I think I blipped down to 3rd gear, literally as we drop off the end of that curb, I think. So let's have a listen again. Right, okay, it's a bit earlier than that. So you're shifting down to 3rd gear, no hard braking again though, that just tightens things up. And then just start drifting over to the left to get that apex. Obviously I could have given it another foot, which might have given me an even faster exit, but I'm already back on the power here and letting the car just move itself out towards the curb on the right hand side on the exit. That curb which we clip literally as we get to it. So you don't want to be any further to the right earlier than this point because you've got a little bit of AstroTurf there. You want to basically be on the white line by the time you get to that curb, and then don't worry if it runs a little bit wider out there because you'll still have plenty of traction. Full beans. Drift over to the left-hand side, shorten the track again. Coming up to 130R, let the car drift back over to the left-hand side. Now this, I'll just play it through, so just listen. A little bit of engine lag, but there's no lift at all. It's absolutely flat out, and you don't have to be aggressive with the line. If you look, I'm giving that curb plenty of respect, and still I've got plenty of room on the outside. And that was absolutely flat out. There seems to be loads of grip in the middle of the track there, and that's the 130R done without any drama. So just be confident and smooth through there. And then it's the final hard braking point and hard, tricky little section of the lap. So we're coming up to 100-meter board. Got that. Let me just again tip the camera very slightly. There we go. We've got the bridge just ahead of us, and we've got the 100-meter board. You can hear from my engine. I think I actually do a little bit early here, but ideally, the second that 100-meter board goes out of your vision, your peripheral vision, that's when you want to be on the brakes. So somewhere between the 100 meters and the bridge, you start braking. Keep it straight, keep it over to the left. I've actually drifted over to the right slightly here, so it wasn't ideal. You should keep it a little bit more left than that. But the turning point, where you start seriously thinking about turning, just look over here at this blue and white curb on the right-hand side. Once your front wheels are kind of parallel with the end of that curb, that's the point where you want to start properly turning into the bend. You can take plenty of curb on the inside, even more than I've done there. Don't get greedy. This is a real key one. Be patient here. Let the car just do its thing. Roll through here. Get all the braking, the deceleration done. Roll it in. Don't be tempted to get on the power too early after this first right-hand part. Let the car slow down and so you can get a nice tight turn back into the left-hand second part of the chicane. I think I do carry a little bit too much speed in here because I think I drop off the curb a bit earlier than I wanted. Yeah, you can see I just sort of bump off it. But it's not terrible because all the deceleration was done, so it's just a very marginal overspeed. and as such I don't run too wide. You want to clip the curb on the way out, which I do, just about perfect, and then your lap is basically done. Try and hug the inside again so you can start your next lap nice and quick. Keep over to the right, over to the right, over to the right. There's the DRS board. Open your steering, let it drift out to the left, and that is a lap of SUZUKA. Now that lap was a 1:53.804, which is my PB, incidentally. But as you can see, there were plenty of mistakes in there, plenty of room for improvement. I wouldn't encourage it because you'll find yourself dangerously close to being average or above if you improve too much on that. So that's what you're aiming for. There we go. I hope that was of use and interest to many of you. I will be obviously looking to make a whole host of these videos with different cars, different tracks. If you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see, please do let me know. If you're interested in watching some of my live racing, please head over to my Lightning Magoo channel on Twitch, where we do regular iRacing, Dirt Rally, WRC Generations, ACC. It's all very good fun at that kind of, you know what I'm trying to say, at that level. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment. What else can you do? I think that's everything. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.